Well, hello everyone. I am back for Pisces, last but not least. Many of you guys know that I've said before, Pisces is probably my favorite sign. And I feel a little bit qualified to talk about it. Sorry about the lighting, but this cool moon is coming up behind us. And this is so Pisces right now, right? I have a Pisces rising and a Pisces moon. And honestly, I feel often more like a Pisces than I even do a Virgo, since I have that opposition. It's a tough opposition. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, co-ruled by Jupiter. This rules the feet, the lymph nodes, the sinuses, all the allergies. That's why I always have allergies and draining and that sounds really bad, doesn't it? But like when your sinuses drain back and you're coughing, and it's just that's been my whole life. But I've always loved animals and I've always loved outdoors. So I've suffered. I take a little bit of drill, but I've suffered throughout my life because I had to be connected to these things of the universe. And Pisces often do that. They're your animal communicators, they are your psychics. It's ruled by the 12th house, so it's a very spiritual sign. I often say the Pisces was born with this umbilical cord to heaven. They just have this understanding that there's another side where the Aquarius will get downloads, and stories. The Pisces can actually like go there, like they can just feel the presence of angels and feel the presence of the spiritual realm, and it can be a high for them because they once they tap into it, it just it so connects with who they are. Pisces is ruled by the fish, or the symbol is a fish, and so you have the fish that goes up and you have the fish that goes down. So Pisces really does live in this duality of kind of wanting to be this, almost like it's kind of like I've heard it described as like the Mary Magdalene, where she sits at Jesus's feet and yet she was a prostitute, and she wanted redemption, yet she'd done the worst things possible. And I think the Pisces life can be like that. They often get down dark bunny holes out of being somewhat naive, but somewhat curious on what lies on the other side. The curiosity and the need to feel and touch everything, good or bad, to really understand it. Pisces can go down dark paths, but then usually come back with this huge spiritual experience that they end up telling the stories of the dark. Where the Scorpio will more rise like the phoenix, but may not even tell you about everything they've been through. They just want you to know they made it out. The Pisces, and I think it has to do with this co rulership of Jupiter, needs to tell stories. Jupiter likes to tell stories, and Jupiter, often because it is the spiritual planet, connected with Neptune, it's about telling stories. Neptune also is about movie making. So Pisces often live in this fairyland of their whole life is like magical movies. Like my life, even though I've had extreme ups and extreme downs, I've had like these magical storylines in my life. And Pisces can manifest more than any other sign, for the good or for the bad. So they have to be really careful that they can manifest the worst case scenarios. Because they often you hear, rose colored glasses. I like to also refer to it as having a blind spot. They want to see the best in people, they want to believe the best. And I can remember when I was a little girl, my dad used to say, anything too good to be true probably is. I used to hate that because I wanted to believe that whatever I was hearing was so good it was true. It had to be true because it was so good. Of course, life lessons taught me, guess what? Anything too good to be true usually is. So I think it's a little bit disappointing because Pisces can vision and imagine these incredible scenarios and can have tastes of them here on earth, like live them out at moments. But because there is a reality of life and that we do have bad with good, and, the up with the down, and, always that constant opposite side that we have to face. Pisces often, struggle with the reality of just that, we live in a struggling world because they're so heaven bound. They're so heaven minded. Like they've already done this earth. We've already been here. We've already done it. Pisces can often get bored, in conversations. That's why a lot of times you'll see a Pisces zoning out. They're going, yeah, 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 but they're like totally in another world. Like they're hearing you, but they're in another world because the conversation isn't spiritual enough or intense enough or awakening enough. They really don't like superficial stuff. They like everything to be a deep revelation of some kind. So they can get bored and create their own fantasy worlds. Here is because it is also a water sign, and Pisces is probably the number one sign of addiction because I think it is that escape. They also have such high, they're so psychic. They're that psychic sponge, and it's kind of like having, just being on all the time and not having a um, a wall or a guard. Like the Scorpio. The scorpion has this stinger and this shell, and even the crab has a shell. Well, what does the fish have? They are exposed, and the only thing they can do is hide and shapeshift and go behind rocks and come out over here, and that's kind of their defense mechanism. Swim real fast out the back door. Um, so Pisces spend a lot of time disappearing or, where did they go? You guys might know that if you have a Pisces friend, and it's usually not even personal. That's the thing. They are recharging. They are just trying to take a breath because the world can be extremely exhausting, even if it's like not their choice, like just to go to the grocery store, just when people pop in on you, like you love it, you love the energy, but you end up suffering with a certain level of this constant need for like recovery. I think that that's why it's so easy to get caught up in escaping through drugs or alcohol because it kind of shuts down the nerve endings that are always on, kind of like almost think of like an octopus, just always the tentacles are everywhere, and so drugs and alcohol often block that a little bit. Certain ones especially will literally block your receptors, and that's why they're very attracted to those kind of medications that cut you off, and so it's sad. It's sad, but they get a bad rap for it. But you have to really understand it. It can become a point of survival. Um, Now, on the other hand, what would be healthy things to do? Okay, so that's really the life of this spiritual Pisces that's trying to really live authentically and learning to embrace their psychic ability and who they are on this earth and not run from it, not hide from it, not try to snuff it out. And that would be by making sure they have a lot of quiet time, getting near the ocean, getting near water, even in their own home, going outside. They have to constantly be moving. Pisces have to be moving all the time. That's why even like if you ever watch a Pisces talk on a cell phone, they'll start doing circles. They'll start walking because the vibration coming in through the ears of the conversation is actually just like overly stimulating them. I've done that for years and had no idea why. Like my husband would laugh at me. You always walk in circles when you're on the phone. I'll go outside and just walk in circles when I'm talking. And I realize because that energy is coming straight in my ear and it's like vibrating my whole body. So I have to move it. So yeah, it's kind of a lot that came out there. The everyday life of Pisces can be difficult. They're always losing things. They're always losing keys and phones, electronics, anything that really is like what they have to have, ATM cards and things like that, because I really believe it's because the Pisces goes in and out of different worlds all day. So you might have your keys in your hand, but you're walking in the house, and then somewhere between the house and the car and the door, you got off on another thought, and it took you in another world. So you come in the house, set down the keys, and didn't have any conscious connection to it because you're still in this other world. So they have to really make conscious decisions to go, I'm putting down the keys now, or I'm doing, putting this back in my wallet. They have to stay really conscious, keeping their feet on the ground. So that's, yeah, that's Pisces relationships are intense, you guys. They are just intense because they feel everything. And so they're always reading their partner and can feel their partner's thoughts. I have a Pisces husband. I've always had Pisces in my life and my intimate relationships, which I'm very grateful for because we can talk without talking. We can read each other. Sometimes it's intense though when when that person isn't wanting, you can't read them and they might be closing off for a minute or they have stuff going on and so it's very nervous when you can't read somebody for a Pisces. Like if you can read them, it takes away the anxiety or if you can communicate, are you okay? What's the matter? Nothing. Oh, I can see I can feel there's something wrong. So sometimes that's a heavy burden in relationships, and sometimes in relationships, they can start off like amazing because it's that Pisces high, and Pisces will often inspire you and tell you how great you are and what you're capable of, and they really mean it. Like it's not just you know, it's like wow, they find a lot of joy out of giving that to someone, but often people maybe can't really live up to that or choose not to live up to that or may never live up to that for whatever reason. It's often people because they attract people that are really at the bottom. They because the fish can go down to the bottom and it's the Jesus personification of saving people. The fish, the net going out, collecting the fish and bringing them in and giving them this salvation. It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA, our astrological DNA, to do that. But people often resent others that maybe they choose not to go the high route. So then the people that were inspiring them are the first ones to go. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a hard situation because Pisces can play the savior role. They can also play the martyr or the victim. So it's that victim savior mentality. So you have to be careful of that. Pisces are beautiful, rules the feet. I said that before, so sometimes we'll have feet problems or can gain a lot of comfort and stress release by having your feet massaged. Again, getting in water, bathtubs, spas, oceans. You got to have water around you to help regulate the high vibration that comes along. Water is very therapeutic. Drinking a lot of water for Pisces too is very important. Um, 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 yeah, they're sensitive souls. They're compassionate. They're the ones who are going to stop and get the puppy off the side of the road that, got dumped off. They're going to save it. Again, strong animal communicators psychically, especially horses, um, old soul animals, elephants, whales. There's my dog. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm just kind of throwing some things out there right now. Again, we will continue these discussions as I talk more. Mainly wanted to give you guys just a kind of at a glance. So when I talk about the different signs, we'll have a beginning foundation together that we can build on. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this series. I'd love to hear your comments. Please, please comment, give me some feedback so we can keep the energy of this subscription page going. And thank you all so much for being a part of this journey with me. All right, talk to you later.